Hello everyone, I'm involved in linear metrology and I make videos about it because I want to repair machine tools myself. Although metrology is an interesting science and practice on its own and definitely worth attention regardless of machine tools. Perhaps you've already watched my previous videos related to metrology. If so, please forgive me. I am only returning to that material for a moment, very briefly, for new viewers. Here are the most striking fragments from already published videos. Right now I am measuring the thickness of marker paint. The point is, what conditions are needed for this measurement? This kind of measurement requires very special equipment. Gauge blocks from Johansen are identical in thickness, 2 millimeters. The left block is firmly pressed against the surface plate. It even stuck a little. I press the right block against the marker paint. The difference on the microcator reading, 0.6 of a micron without the marker, and 1 6 of a micron with the marker. That means the marker added 1 micron in height relative to the surface. The surface plate itself is perfectly flat. That's what ensures the measurement is correct. I have old videos about this on my channel. This microcator has a sensitivity of 2/10,000ths of a millimeter. I created this exceptionally flat surface entirely on my own. I also had interesting material about precision bubble levels and working with an autocollimator. So, why do I want to repair machine tools? Because it's too expensive for me to equip my workshop with really precise and productive new machines. Although repairing machine tools is interesting in itself, and that motivates me even more. Buying a full set of high-quality new machine tools for my workshop is clearly out of my budget. Still, like many of you, I really want to have a good workshop. But restoring old, worn-out machine tools that cost only a little more than scrap metal. That is quite realistic, both in terms of cost and, surprisingly, from a technological point of view. After disassembly, cleaning and painting the machine tool, which is only the first step on this path, the most responsible and difficult work awaits, restoring the geometry of linear motion guide pairs. Right now, that's the main thing I'm focused on. When performing this part of the work, one must be very well prepared, because achieving perfectly flat X, Y, and Z feed surfaces, precisely oriented in space at right angles to each other, while at the same time not removing excess material from the guideways, is a complex task. I want to equip my workshop with restored precise machine tools, so I can make various parts myself according to my own drawings, parts for mechanisms that I want to create on my own. Agree, that's very exciting. Why do I need this? Because I've always been inclined to invent different mechanisms, and of course I want to actually build them. I see the development of my YouTube project in creating a pack of machine tools for my workshop. And the purpose of this workshop is to realize my own technical projects. I've been designing mechanisms since childhood. I had an interest and talent for it. It was just a hobby, a passion. Over time, by practicing, I developed technical imagination. And I became able, using only a pencil and a notebook, to develop complex mechanisms, building them in my mind and using sketches as support for my imagination. But then the computer appeared, and for about the last 10 years I've been working in Inventor. This has incredibly expanded my possibilities in design. And now, as an example, I want to tell one of the many stories of my designing. This one is related to machine tools and the workshop. This is a boring head project. A boring head is quite a simple thing, but often necessary as a component of a milling machine. Right now, in my workshop, I have several machine tools under repair, and only one is in working condition. It's a small benchtop milling machine. Although it's small, it's capable of more than it seems at first glance. For example, right now I'm making an additional rotary grinding head for a large surface grinder on it. And the working area of this benchtop machine allows me to manufacture all the necessary parts for this project. Here's a visualization of this future additional rotary grinding head. The part with an edge shaped as a segment of an arc will be attached to the protective guard of the machine's abrasive wheel. But the standard boring head is a bit too long for this machine, and sometimes it's convenient to mount it horizontally. So that length starts to really get in the way. A flatter but shorter boring head would be much better. Besides that, in my opinion, the standard boring head has design flaws. I consider the dovetail clamping design imperfect. I think it doesn't provide the desired rigidity when tightening, that is, locking movement and eliminating play in the dovetail, which somewhat limits the possible length of the boring bar. Locking movement and play in the dovetail by elastic deformation of a thin segment at the bend, in my opinion, is not the best design solution. I think critical stresses can appear there, close to the steel's ultimate tensile strength. These circumstances motivated me to create a boring head specifically for this machine, as short as possible and as rigid as possible. Since I already had experience using a standard boring head on this machine, I knew exactly what I wanted to improve and how I wanted the new boring head to look. And here is my project. The boring head protrudes beyond the spindle by only 45 millimeters, compared to about 65 millimeters on a standard head. That's already completely acceptable for this machine. With it, I can use this mill to its maximum efficiency. This boring head matches the y-axis travel of the machine. I fundamentally changed the dovetail configuration and the principle of locking movement along the dovetail, and I believe this improved the performance characteristics of this boring head. Now you can see all the component parts of this boring head. I slightly improved the feed screw handle, and now I'm satisfied with it. I designed convenient, more rigid boring bars, and I can start boring holes from 17 millimeters in diameter up to 100 millimeters deep and bring them, cut by cut, to 120 millimeters in diameter. Of course, such a wide boring head requires balancing in each working position, and this balance can be achieved approximately in this way by attaching appropriate counterweights. In some cases, the counterweights can also be attached directly to the cutting tools. So this is still a virtual project, but I'm publishing it at the design stage because I want to hear your opinion about this construction. Maybe some viewers will point out flaws to me or mention an already existing similar boring head design, although I haven't come across anything like it yet. But perhaps I just missed it. Maybe someone will suggest another good idea. I hope the time will come when I actually build this or a similar boring head and try working with it. Please write what you think about this video format. I would call it Invent a Project. If videos like this get good viewer attention, from time to time I'll make similar ones. I think in the next video I'll return to metrology again. There are good reasons for that. I've added to my collection this very sensitive measuring instrument. The scale division is 1/10 of a micron. I have several sets of Johansson gauge blocks, so I have the opportunity to check them. I've already started this work, getting familiar with the equipment, looking for optimal methods to inspect Johansson gauge blocks. Although my laboratory is far from ideal in terms of temperature and dust right now, it turns out that even in such conditions, it's possible to perform inspection with the required accuracy, if you take these negative factors into account and act accordingly. You'll see all of this soon. I already have quite a few sets of gauge blocks, even some very rare ones. It will be interesting to get familiar with and practice using these seemingly common, yet still rare instruments. And I also plan to certify one of my high-class Johansson gauge block sets at the National Metrology Institute, so I'll have reference sizes at my disposal. Then I'll be able to independently check the condition of my gauge block sets using certified reference blocks to precisely calibrate the comparator. Unfortunately, this certification is very expensive, but I'll have to do it. And in the meantime, what is happening with my mega project of restoring the surface grinding machine? Someone might ask me. The machine is currently coated with a protective oil compound, covered and waiting for spring. I hope to start building a dedicated workshop for it in the spring. Please subscribe to the channel. Of course, if you watch it regularly. And if you want and are able to help me develop my channel, I'd be very grateful for support through Patreon or YouTube sponsorship. A big thank you to my current 52 sponsors. With your support, I can already work independently. So, thank you for your attention. I'm waiting for your comments. Thank you for watching, for likes, for support. See you